Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Andy the Mad Tatter back with another sales roundup video at long last. First and foremost, I want to get into some apologies. I did say in my last video that I was going to start trying to upload regularly and stick to an upload schedule. Things haven't really worked out that way, as you can probably tell by the way that there's been such a long gap between videos. There's been a few issues with items on eBay, which I'll go into a little bit more in this video. I did buy a load of stuff for a big haul. I didn't spend a huge amount of money actually, but I bought loads of stuff. I felt like I bought the world at one point, and I could have done some really good haul videos from it. I tried to do a couple of haul videos from it, but I knocked the camera over a couple of times. It just wasn't working out. And then effectively with issues with other items that have gone on eBay, I had to kind of get that haul stuff up really quickly and sell it. So I've been very busy on the eBay side of things, and consequently not had as much time for the YouTube side of things, and I'm really sorry about that, guys. But obviously eBay's the job, and YouTube's kind of for the love and for you guys, so the job's got to come first sometimes. So further apologies. If I sound a little bit spacey or slurred at any point during this video, more so than usual, it's because I've cracked a tooth, and I've literally, about 20 minutes before starting filming this video, just bogged a load of dental cement in it. So if I sound a bit at any point, it's just down to the fact that I've kind of got a huge wad of cement in one of my teeth at the moment. So yeah, that's the apologies out of the way. I just wanted to say sorry about those things there, guys, particularly about not getting the videos out as I said I would. But nevertheless, on the subject of YouTube, we are currently at 110 subscribers, 1,446 total views and 126 total likes on my videos. So thank you so much, you awesome people. As I say in all of my videos, and I do sincerely mean it, all of your support and all of your shares and comments and thumbs ups on the video, all your interactions with the videos, it means so much to me. I never for a moment expected so many of you that would want to watch the things that I do, and I really appreciate that you do, so thank you so much for that. So we'll get into the first items. This video that you're about to see, this is going to cover the first 15 days in May. I'm aware that it's the 26th of May today, so I've kind of got a bit of catching up to do in that respect, but I should have the second half of May's sales roundup video. That should be ready to go up on the 1st of June, and if I can get another video in the meantime, I'll try and get another video in the meantime if I can. I don't know exactly what format that sort of video will take, if there'll be any time to go out and grab another haul's worth of stuff between now and then. I'm not sure, but I'll do my very best to get some other kind of video up in between now and the 1st. So, 1st of May. First item, just to remind you as well, the items that you're going to see in this video, the profit figures you're going to see, I've now finished paying off the PayPal working capital cash advance, which you've seen me paying off in the previous videos. So the profit figures that you're seeing here are the true profit figures, and they've not had any extra fees taken off them or anything like that. So first item, men's diesel check shirt. I've spoken about diesel before in respect to jeans and in respect of other clothing items as well. Really popular brand both in the UK and internationally. Very high quality clothing. Can't speak highly enough of it really. This one was a nice sort of charcoal grey with black and a very, very subtle red stripe running through the check. Really nice shirt, this one. Had the sort of epaulets on the shoulders as well, like the shoulder tabs. So a bit of detail there as well. This one cost £4, sold for a total of £38.94, which was £35.99 for the shirt and £3.95 shipping. The total we paid after shipping and fees, total made after shipping and fees on that one's £24.55, and that one went on the global shipping program to Austria. I'm going to get into it a little bit with the global shipping program when we get into some of the other items down the line, because they've been so helpful in respect of dealing with issues in transit, which I'll get into down the course of the video. Next item, on the 1st of May, House of Anubis board game. This is a board game based on a Nickelodeon kids TV show, and it was an item that I bought very, very, very early on in my reselling adventures, if you like. And you can tell that by the price of it. I don't know what I thought I was doing paying $5.99 for a second-hand board game of and a board game based on something I'd never heard of, really. I only found out that it was a Nickelodeon TV show from buying the game and having to do some research on it. Yeah, I wouldn't go back. If I could go back and buy that again, I wouldn't. So this one sold for $9.89 with $3.95 shipping, so a total of $13.84 with a cost of $5.99, as I say. It was up at, I think, looking at that, $13.99 or $12.99, but we had a 10% off sale on the board games there. So glad to see the back of that one, in all honesty, because, as I say, I did buy it very early on, and it's one of those things that stuck around for a while and I just wanted to get rid of. So finally gone. Only made £1.50 on it, but at least made something, didn't lose anything. Still on the 1st of May, this is a Russell Athletic Say It Leon Cooper jacket. I think I've said before in a previous video about anything to do with the car branded stuff and how people are very loyal to particular brands and particular styles of car, particular scenes, car culture. I know it's very big in the UK. It's very big all over the world. Every country has its own car culture. So if you're going to be thinking about reselling things from that sort of automotive fan club angle, then get in tune with what your country's car scene is, or your area's car scene is, and look for the stuff that applies. This one, this is actually a genuine SEAT product as well. It does have a VW SEAT part number. It was just a nice anorak type jacket with Cupra written down the back in orange, and it had the FR280 embroidery on the chest and on the zip pulls as well. So that's just for the SEAT Leon, not SEAT Leon. Yeah, SEAT Leon, beg your pardon, SEAT Leon Cupra. FR280 hot hatch fan club jacket, owners club jacket. Yeah, waffling, sorry, beg your pardon. Did actually own this one. This was something that I bought prior to starting out as sort of a business seller. On a business seller basis. This was just something that I bought. I actually seem to think I bought this at a car boot when it started raining one day, and it was just a nice jacket that was there and happened to fit me, and I threw it on because I definitely had it in the house prior to putting it on eBay, and it wasn't something that I've actually gone out and specifically sourced to resell, so consequently I don't have a cost price for it. So sold for $35.44. This was on a 10% off sale again, so that was $31.49 with $3.95 post. Made a total of $25.22 on that one, and the buyer left us positive feedback as well. Moving on to the 2nd of May, FC UK Urban and 1972 aftershaves. A few years ago, I kind of went through a bit of a phase of wearing pretty much nothing but this FC UK Urban and 1972 stuff. So consequently, I got bought a lot of it from relatives at Christmas, and I've still had quite a lot of it, so I just thought, well, let's get rid and get it on eBay. It was still absolutely fine condition, no issues with it whatsoever. So put them on sale. I had 2 lots, and you'll see in a moment we saw both lots this month as well. So that was a free item. In effect, I owned those. Sold for $17.99, which we gave free postage on, with it being an item that we owned and it being sort of 100% profit. It wasn't something that I felt necessarily needed to charge any postage on. So made $11.24 on those after shipping and fees. You can send perfumes and aftershaves through the post in the UK. There's some people out there are kind of in the mistaken belief that you can't, but you actually can. You just have to declare at the post office what they are, and there is a limit. I don't think you can send more than possibly 250 millilitres. Don't quote me on the number, but definitely look it up if you are planning to sell perfumes or aftershaves. It is a stated number. You're not allowed to send over a certain volume in the post. So declare it at the post office. They'll stick a hazard warning label on it, and you're still good to go. It doesn't cost you any more to post or anything like that. So you can sell perfumes and aftershaves, and some of the vintage perfumes and aftershaves sell really well too. The stuff that you can't get anymore, that was out in the sort of late 90s. Even the late 80s stuff, some of it still sells really well. So yeah, FC UK Urban and made £11.24 on those. Next one, 2nd of May again. So this was a retail arbitrage item. Now, again, just to quickly say, if you don't know the terminology, retail arbitrage is buying brand new items from retail stores and selling them for a profit. So it's not sourcing second-hand items or anything like that. It is buying brand new to try and make a profit on that. And I've also said in a previous video that I don't live too far from the Cheshire Oaks designer outlet, and that's where I got this jacket from. It's a Timberland Mount Garfield men's padded jacket. Really, really sort of on-trend style. A bit of a wet look to it as well, so it's kind of got that sort of casual but also functional style to it. It's a really nice jacket. It fit me as well, so it was quite tempting to sort of maybe keep hold of it, but it's not really my style if I'm honest. So yeah, this one, paid £50 for this one, sold it for $94.49, which was again in the 10% off sale. So we made a total of $24.04 on that one after shipping and fees. Not a massive huge retail arbitrage success, I guess, in the scheme of things. Some people do like to make well, most people in fact do like to make a lot more money off their retail arbitrage items. But as somebody who's not been previously very good at it and has in fact lost money on new items before, $24.04 is a profit that I'm pretty happy with on that one, and it's definitely putting me in the mindset that my retail arbitrage is going in the right direction. So next one, back onto the 3rd of May. So it's another Urban and 1972 aftershave. Again, made $11.24 on those, exactly the same deal. Did go to a different buyer. It wasn't the same person coming back and buying more. So just happened to sell both lots of those in the month, which was great. 3rd of May still, Freelancer PC big box game. I've spoken about big box PC games before as well. These are the sort of Windows 95, 98 era. Sorry, this example is sort of Windows 95, 98 era game, but certainly some of the DOS games and things like that as well. They still have demand, and some of them can command quite high prices if they're cult titles or very sort of popular sought after titles. I tend to go for the kind of sci-fi type games because that was what I grew up playing for the most part, but also I tend to go for real-time strategy games because they have the biggest following, and generally speaking with the real-time strategy games they're as appealing to people to play offline as they are online. So even if it is a game that perhaps has an online single-use code or license, people will still buy them to play offline because they have just as much playability either way. So this was Freelancer, which is kind of a sci-fi, shooty, spacey type of marauding and trading type game. Don't think Elite was much better. Elite's a classic, but it's kind of, I guess, getting on for trying to be like it. But I digress. Yeah, cost £4, sold for $33.49, which is $29.99, and $3.50 shipping. $3.50 is the highest eBay will let you go for postage in the video games category, just out of interest. So if you've got a big bundle of games or anything like that, or any of the old big box titles where they've got big hefty manuals and stuff in them, or old office software, things like that you're trying to sell, just bear in mind that eBay may not let you charge more than £3.50 to your buyer for postage, so definitely factor that into your pricing. With this one, I didn't really factor any postage in because it was close enough anyway. The buyer paid £3.50 and it was £4 to post, so I was happy to stand 50p on something that I was making £20.39 on. So yeah, happy days on that one. Big box games. Samsung Gear VR. Now, first and foremost, shout out to my wife Jo on this one, because she actually picked this up from a friend who was selling it on Facebook. So good spot, well found. We paid £15 for it with £4 postage, so £19 total. Sold for $69.99 and gave free postage on it. It did sell very, very quickly. It sold the day after we listed this one. The prices were all over the place. Some people were selling them higher than this, and quite a lot of people were selling them lower than this. And even when you looked in the completed listings, the prices were all over the map. Some had sold on auctions for ridiculously low prices, and then there were some buy it nows that were crazy money. So I just went by my usual rule of thumb, which is kind of try and be in that upper third of the price range, so that you don't look too cheap and so that you're not the most expensive either. And if you can kind of hit that sweet spot, I think that's the place to be in terms of your pricing. Anybody who ever asks anything, any advice from me on pricing for an item, I'll always say look at your solds on eBay and sort them from price highest to lowest, so you see the highest price items first. And just scroll through the first few items, see what sort of price range they fall into, and just kind of throw a dart at a board and pick a price in the middle. And that's what I did with this one, basically. So we sold it for $69.99, gave free postage, made £38.95 basically in the space of a day on that one, and the buyer sent positive feedback straight away as well. He's dead happy with it. So that was the Samsung Gear VR. 4th of May, as I was saying before, the vintage DOS games. This was Ultima 7, which is, and again, as I was saying before, a real-time strategy game. So it does have a big following in that respect. This one was complete. This was actually one that I found in our loft when I was going through some old boxes of stuff when I was just getting started reselling. And I did find a few old games up there from back in the days of having the old 486s. And the early Pentiums and stuff like that. So there were a few games up there from them. And this one was probably in the worst shape of them all, in fairness. The discs and everything, they all looked fine. No damage, no signs of any kind of issue with them at all. They look pretty much brand new, the discs. But all of the paper accompaniments, so the manuals, the map, the box itself, they'd obviously got a little bit damp at some point. And they were distorted. There was a couple of tears in things and a couple of watermarks on some of the manuals there as well. But I was very, as always, very upfront about them in the listing. Fully described everything, you know. Said this is the map. It has X, Y, Z tears on it. The manual has this kind of discoloration or this watermark on it, and just be really specific and go into a lot of detail with your descriptions, especially on something that's not perfect. I also put in this listing that I'd not been able to test it because I don't have a machine to test it on, and that's the truth. But I did say that it's one that I've owned, has been in my house for many years. I have no reason to believe it shouldn't work. But, you know, if you have any problems, get in touch and we'll always try and come to some sort of arrangement. And that one's so far not had any comeback at all on that one. That was sold on the 4th of May. So yeah, I assume and it's arrived. So I assume the buyer's happy with it and they've just not left feedback or anything. So it was a free item, cost owned. So sold for $28.49 again with the $3.50 postage because that's as high as it'll let you go on the video games category. Made £20.58 altogether after shipping and fees there. Another PC big box game, albeit without the big box this time. This was just the in a dual case with the disc, Age of Empires 2. Another really popular real-time strategy game, and there's a new Age of Empires title I think that's come out not long ago as well. So there's probably people out there that are harking back for the nostalgia of the first games. This one cost 50p, sold for $8.94 and made $4.56 after shipping and fees. Went for a large letter because it was only a dual case, so a dual case with a bit of bubble wrap around it and a little bit of cardboard in there for stiffness. $2.95 and happy days. Okay, so this is one of the big problem items of the month. This is a Brother AX425 typewriter which sold to France. Hi Iggy, that's my dog Iggy. Get out of the way, buddy. So this he's just thrown me off completely now, but we'll carry on. So this sold to France on the GSP Global Shipping Program. Didn't sell on an offer or anything like that. Sold for the full asking price. Dead easy transaction. Buyer had tons of feedback. Had no problem whatsoever with, or no suspicions whatsoever with the transaction. You can probably just about make out on the picture there, although you won't be able to make out the text. And this is a bobble on the hand, by the way. I don't know why I've been playing with this all throughout the video, but I've just shot it off somewhere. But you might have seen it wrapped around my fingers earlier on and wondered what was going on. It's that. Yeah, you might notice on the typewriter there we've got a test sheet. I always put the test sheet on there because it is how I just test the typewriter anyway, and I'll leave the test sheet in for the photographs so that the buyer can see that all of the keys and all of the functions that can be shown on a screen work. I typed the sentence, "The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog." For those of you that don't know, that's quite a famous sentence for using all the letters in the English language. There are others out there as well. There's tons of different ones that use all the letters of the English language. That just happens to be the one that I remember the most. So I typed the first line, "The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog," all in uppercase. Second line, all in lowercase, and then the third line, or with an uppercase letter at the beginning of every word, just so that you can see that the uppercase letters work, the lowercase letters work, the shift works, all the space works. Then I do just each number on the following line, then each punctuation symbol, and just show that everything that's on the keyboard can be transferred onto a piece of paper. Posted this via global shipping, bubble wrapped the life out of it, and put loads of different layers of cardboard and foam and packaging in there. Really sort of padded it out well. There was no way that was arriving damaged at all. But it would appear that it did. It was contacted quite quickly by the buyer once it arrived, saying that the capital letters don't work on it, was one of the specific complaints that they had, and that the paper wasn't feeding. Now, as you can see from the pictures there on eBay, the paper's clearly fed because it's in the typewriter. And as I've said before, when you click into these pictures, you can see the text, and it shows that the capital letters work, and it shows that the lowercase letters work. So I was fairly confident that the item was damaged in transit. Well, I knew that the item was damaged in transit. There's no two ways about it. And it's provable there in the fact that the item was showing with those functions working, and those are the specific functions the buyer said didn't work. So it took a little bit of backwards and forwards between myself and the buyer, because I don't speak French, and they don't speak English, or if they do, they don't want to. So I was Google translating everything that they sent through, and being very careful not to Google translate anything that I sent back. I didn't want to sort of put an English thing into Google Translate and then send the French. I just wanted to send the English and let them translate it in. So we were kind of on the same page. They weren't helping me out with what they were trying to say. That sounds kind of harsh, actually, putting it that way. I don't mean it that way at all. I don't mean kind of they weren't helping me, so I won't help them. That sounds really petty. But what I mean is that I wanted them to have to put in the same level of effort in understanding each other as I was having to, so that we were both kind of on the same level. That's what I'm getting at. So the buyer opened a return request with eBay. Now, what happens with things like this, when a buyer opens a return request, eBay will immediately freeze the value of the transaction in your PayPal account. So in this case, it was £100.94, and they froze that in my PayPal account. Now, this sale, I actually took the majority of the money from and spent on the massive haul that I was telling you about at the beginning of this video. So consequently, when eBay froze this money, they actually put our PayPal into a negative balance because I just paid all the fees and everything and just paid all the bills. So PayPal was pretty empty anyway, and then this return hit, and it actually put us into a negative by about 25 quid. So we were all hands to the pumps then, basically getting stuff listed, getting stuff on there, trying to generate as many sales as possible, all at the same time as trying to resolve this issue with this French buyer. eBay France got involved. Now, honestly, if you ever have to deal with eBay France, I sympathise. They aren't connected to the same systems as certainly eBay in the UK, so I would assume that they're not connected to a lot of the same systems as many of the other eBay sites. But they're not connected to the same system as us, so you can't go onto a live chat with eBay France. So you'll speak to somebody on live chat or on the phone, for instance, on eBay UK, and they will have to email their counterparts in eBay France. eBay France then email you back, and then you email them, and it all feels very sort of 10 years ago. So eBay France are a bit of a nightmare to deal with, and it seemed that they were very much about trying to get the buyer to escalate the case before before they were prepared to do anything. They very much wanted the buyer to take things to the next level. And I was just like, well, no, come on, this is a bit ridiculous. So I went back on and spoke to two further different people on the eBay UK live chat. And finally, the third person that I spoke to actually, I think, fully understood where I was coming from. I find that with the eBay live chat people, they're excellent. They really do want to help you, and they do want to try and resolve issues for you. But what you have to remember is that English often isn't their first language. They're very good at English, and they're pretty well spoken, and they're a lot better spoken than a lot of native English speakers in some cases. But sometimes I find if you go on and say the same thing to a different person in a slightly different way, they will interpret it differently from the previous person because their understanding of English is slightly different. So what I'm saying is always persevere. If you've got an issue with eBay, don't just, and you're not happy with the first answer that you're given, it's worth taking the same approach, but trying again with a different operator. Never get het up with them, never get aggro with them. Be nice to them because they're always nice to you, and they're hard-working people. If you imagine the amount of stuff that they must have to deal with on a daily basis, I couldn't do their job, put it that way. So yeah, always be nice to them, and they will help you out. So it took me about, I think all told, about 4 or 5 days to get this issue fully resolved from start to finish. In the meantime, we did get some more money back in at the PayPal account and stuff as well, so it took us out of that negative balance. Although, had we had to refund that £100, we'd have probably gone back to zero again. So the great thing here, and what I was saying at the beginning about eBay global shipping, once an item has arrived with eBay global shipping, if you don't know how it works, you send the item to your local shipping centre, and then they will forward it on to the final destination. So you only ever have to pay domestic post on an item to send it internationally using the global shipping program. So we sent it to the global shipping depot down in Lichfield via Parcel Force, I think. It got there, no problem at all. And obviously then the buyer had the issue and opened the case. The resolution that we finally got from eBay, like I say, this was after speaking to 3 different people, but the resolution that we finally got from eBay was for them to say, yes, we accept that this item has been damaged in transit, the buyer has been refunded, and you have no further liability as a seller. This won't go up as a black mark on your record or as a defect on your account. It's covered by the global shipping program. So that is absolutely invaluable in many respects to me. I think if you can send items internationally and think, I don't necessarily have to be too concerned if they arrive and there's an issue, particularly if it's one that can be proved to be damaged in transit. This is another thing actually about this case. I realise this video is going on for a while as well, but I've not spoken to you for a bit either, guys, so, humour me a little bit. The buyer actually opened the return case as defective. Now, with a defective item, I would be liable for the buyer's return postage of the item, and then I'd be liable for the full refund as well. We've just gone off. There we go. And then I'd be liable for the full refund as well. With the global shipping program, the buyer doesn't have to send the item back. They can just throw it away. I still get the money for the item. The buyer gets their refund for the item, and eBay stands it. This is why we pay all these shop fees, selling fees, and things like that, guys. So don't feel guilty about doing it or anything like that. I'm sure there's people out there that think, oh, I shouldn't ask for it, and this, that, and the other. Guys, you pay so much to eBay in everything that you sell. Why not, take advantage of what they offer and get a little bit back? It's all about give and take at the end of the day, and we as sellers do a lot of giving to eBay. So, yeah. A little bit of food for thought on that one. But the other element, as I say, the buyer said it was defective, so that would have been I was liable. I had to try and then speak to the buyer and say, look, we can prove that this item wasn't defective when it was supplied, because the very problems that you're talking about and the very issues that you've identified with the item, we can prove that they work through the pictures on there. So it actually took me a couple of days, not so much to convince the buyer that I was right, because I wasn't trying to do that at all. I was trying to get the buyer to understand that they were incorrect in how they'd opened the case. And they did get that eventually, but again, there was that kind of language barrier thing, so it's a case of just reiterate your point or just say it in a slightly different way, say the same thing in a slightly different way, and hope that ultimately you'll hit on with the person's understanding of English and you'll come to an understanding, which we did, and happy days. So moving on to another item. Blimey, we're only on the 6th. Sorry guys, I've really talked your ears off today. 10th of May, Henry Lloyd high neck jumper. Henry Lloyd is a brand that I love, and I'm sat here right now in a pair of Henry Lloyd jeans, which I bought to resell and then didn't resell because they were really nice. They're a British brand, although the name might not necessarily suggest that. They were actually started in Manchester as well, so they're a local brand to me in that respect. And I think they've recently been bought by a Swedish company who are looking to sort of reinvigorate the brand and get them back out there again. So that'll be quite interesting to see. But they're famous mainly for sort of sailing wear. Yeah, pretty much exclusively sailing wear and sea wear and things like that, to be honest. So whether that be full-on technical stuff like coats or waterproofs, or whether that be more casual stuff, you know, in the yacht or whatever sort of. What do people who have boats do when they're not on their boats? Like, if you own a boat, why would you ever be anywhere that isn't on your boat? Anyway, sorry, digress. But yeah, Henry Lloyd, great brand. This was sort of a high neck jumper. It had a zip up the front for the collar, and it also had sort of a flap that you could button across on that as well. So it had a nice little bit of different detail. Navy blue, just got the Henry Lloyd logo embroidered on the chest there, so it's kind of a nice classy style casual jumper. Cost £2, sold for $43.94, which was $39.99 plus $3.95 postage, and after shipping and fees, made £30.26. Still on the 10th of May, this was another retail arbitrage item. Sold a couple of these in my last sales roundup video as well. Schneider ballpoint pen refills, cost 50p, sold for $5.94, which was $3.99 plus $2.95 shipping, and made £2.30 on them altogether. Again, on a low price item like that, I think that's quite good profit on a retail arbitrage item, personally. Again, 11th of May still, Calvin Klein Sport lightweight jacket. This was a sort of rubberized cotton material, sort of nice, lightweight, what would you call it? Like a soft shell type jacket. Zip front, kind of pretty much as plain as it looks in that picture, in all honesty. Just a plain black jacket with elasticated cuffs, a drawstring waist, and a sort of slight funnel neck to it when it was fully zipped up. Had the Calvin Klein branding on the zip pulls. And that was about it, really. It wasn't, you know, overly branded either, so it wasn't sort of something that you'd see someone walking down the street in and think, oh, look at that guy's Calvin Klein jacket, you know. It's quite a subtle one, really. Cost $8.99, sold for $38.94, which was $34.99 plus $3.95 post, and after shipping and fees, we made $19.76. Sticking with the 11th of May still, Sprayway waterproof jacket. This is a ladies one. Sprayway are another UK brand, and another fairly local-ish UK brand to me as well. I think Sprayway was started in the Peak District, which is kind of Derbyshire sort of direction. So they're a great quality outdoor wear brand. They were massively popular in the late 90s, early 2000s. I remember Sprayway was one of the brands that, when I was at school, kind of people wanted, and you were pretty, you know, it was a pretty cool thing to have, was a Sprayway jacket. I never had one back in the day, but yeah, there's still a popular brand to this day. They make really great quality stuff, and it's not overly expensive either, even new. So it's, if you can pick it up secondhand and not pay a lot for it, it's comparable in quality to some of the higher end brands, but not comparable in price. You get a good value for money in Sprayway stuff. This was a nice teal blue as well, and the inner lining and the hood lining there had like a sort of, what would you call it, like a Hawaiian kind of lily pattern on it, like a surfy type style pattern on it. So it was a really nice outdoor jacket. Sold for $49.99, cost £8, gave free postage on that one, and $29.19 made after shipping and fees. Buyer left positive feedback. 12th of May still, Young Ones DVD box set. Now, as I've said in a previous video about I'm sort of trying to wind in DVDs, yeah, you'll see in the second half of the sales roundup video for this month, and I'll talk about it a bit more in that video. But I bought a shed load of DVDs, guys, because I got them for next to nothing, and already been selling through quite a lot of them and making good money on them too. So I might have to reevaluate my opinion on DVDs in the long run. But this was a new and sealed box set of the Young Ones. Cost £2, sold for $18.94, $14.99 plus $3.95 post, and made £10.30 after shipping and fees on that one. 14th of May, I think this might be the final item in the video. Let's just check. No, it's not. 14th of May, Disney World Grumpy ceramic mug. This was a 3D mug as well, so Grumpy there. He's all sort of raised up in 3D. Nice big handle on it as well. Always check out the Disney World, Disneyland Paris, Disney Japan stuff. It tends to command a slightly higher price than stuff from your Disney store or just other Disney licensed stuff, simply because it's produced, I think, in lower numbers, but it's also only available at the parks and at the theme parks, so it's not. It's a little bit more exclusive than the stuff that you find on the high street. So yeah, the Disney World stuff, the Disney Resort stuff, always look out for that. This cost $1.49, sold for $19.94, which was $14.99 plus $3.95 postage, and we made $11.15 after shipping and fees. Lastly, this was the Rolls razor, which was in, I think, my very first haul video. Awesome razor. If you want to see a little bit of it in action, go and check out my first haul video, or just look for Rolls razor on YouTube if you want to watch somebody just using the razor and not prattling on like I do. This was bought by a guy up in the Scottish Highlands. I forget exactly where. I want to say Orkney or Lewis or somewhere like that. It was somewhere, you know, quite out of the way. And we posted it, thought nothing of it, and after about a week or so of posting it, we got really polite about it. The guy, can't fault him at all, saying, I've still not received my parcel, could you check into it with Royal Mail, etc, etc. So it's, yeah, absolutely not a problem. Checked into it with Royal Mail. Sure enough, Royal Mail found no trace of it beyond me delivering it to the post office near my house to actually mail it in the first place, so they considered it lost. Told the buyer this and said, just leave it with us while I get on with Royal Mail, and I'll let you know how we get on. My plan was that if Royal Mail hadn't got back to me within a couple of days, I was just going to refund the guy anyway, because I don't like keeping people waiting in instances like that for their money, because it's not their fault. Granted, if I'd done that, it would have put me out of pocket at the time, but in those circumstances where it wasn't his fault, I was quite happy to have refunded him. So sure enough, after about 3 or 4 days of putting the case in with Royal Mail and providing pictures of the item, how much it sold for, what it was posted by and everything, I just basically sent them links to the eBay listings, or sent them screen grabs of screens from eBay so they can see how much the item was sold for, and the tracking number and everything on the parcel. Four or so days after I put that in, check arrived in the post for the full amount and a letter of apology from them saying, well, I mean, it's a generic letter of apology. It wasn't like they were grovelling to me or anything. But there was a letter of apology in there with a check attached to the bottom of it for the full value. Yeah, I was more than happy, and I was really surprised how well they dealt. Well, I shouldn't have been surprised. It's Royal Mail. You've got to have a bit of faith in them. But yeah, I was really pleased with how they dealt with it and really impressed with how they dealt with it. So thank you, Royal Mail, for that one, because you saved my ass on that one. And otherwise that would have had to come out of my pocket if Royal Mail hadn't covered it. But this is also says a lot for sending your items recorded or sending it on a signed for or insured service. This service, I sent this with Royal Mail second class signed for postage, and that was £4. Covered the item value up to 40 quid. So I wouldn't have necessarily sent this if it had been a 50 quid item. I'd have sent it by a different service. But because it was covered by the value of that service, I was quite happy to send it. And It's the first time I've ever put a claim in with Royal Mail as well, and it was just so easy, and they were so helpful. So thanks Royal Mail for that one. And yeah, I think that is definitely the last item for today. It certainly is. So thank you all so much, guys. This has been a really long video. Sorry about that. Sorry for the waffle. Sorry for the prattle at the beginning as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, please give me a thumbs down. But don't just thumb and run. Will you? Leave me a comment. Let me know what you did like, what you didn't like. And I'll try and do better next time, or do more of the things that you did like. Do feel free to hit subscribe up in the corner there, wherever it is. I'm not one of these YouTubers that can point at the screen and tell you where things are, because I'm not that up on it all yet. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and if you want to be notified when I upload new videos, just give the bell a little tickle. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.